I've been wondering why I keep getting stupider and what's happening is disintegration. This is the natural result of neglecting to speak from my heart. It doesn't matter if I speak with my heart from my vocal cords or whether I do it with my hands as I type. The key part is that it actually happens. A few days ago I had a resentful thought, and then my hand just started burning like right then, and I knew then, it's that resentful thought. So this time I didn't repress the resentment, I spoke from the resentment. I went into that pain and I found it all the way up in my shoulder, and Greg was there with me, so he started pressing on these knots here in the trapezius muscles, and as he pressed on the knots I could tell when I was getting closer to the root of the emotional pain, because the knot would start to release. And then as I would talk and my mind would take me somewhere further away from my heart to something kind of irrelevant, the knot would tighten up even more and get worse. This is one of the greatest tools for healing, is going directly for that emotional pain, finding what hurts and speaking from there. Finding what fills you with a vibrating, gleeful sense of joy and going for that. In my case, flowers really fuel my heart. So in my heart practice this past week, I repeatedly kept coming back to wanting to go outside and just admire the flowers, be close to them, and bring some of them inside with me. The greatest hindrance that we have towards going towards our emotion is should. Don't get distracted by those shoulds. Examined what my heart was feeling and how it would respond to my thoughts. It became evident to me this is why my video software keeps crashing. This is what I wrote in my realizations journal. I've tried multiple software options, multiple computers, multiple types of input files over multiple years, yet with each try, the software crashes. It is because I'm not speaking from my heart. What do you truly want to create? That is key. In fact, when I look at the few videos I've been able to produce, they had more heart in them than the countless videos I've tried to produce, but didn't due to repeated crashes. Last summer, I developed an inflammatory pain in my hands that was so bad, I couldn't type. I could barely hold a glass of water to drink from. And the inflammatory pain was so intense that I was afraid that I'd somehow ruin my hands and that I would never be able to use them again. And I cried and I grieved. I was afraid. I couldn't even prepare myself for my own meals. And after weeks of suffering and trying out a lot of different things, wrist splints, supplements, juicing, ironically what I found worked best was I would put the pressure gloves on, which helped a teeny bit on their own, but not a lot. But then I tried journaling out my emotions, and my hands felt better. Even though if I tried to type an email, the pain got worse and worse, and within typing a couple sentences I would be in so much pain that there was no way I could continue. And yet I would journal an entire page. Same posture, same computer, same hands, same keyboard, but what I was writing and why I was writing it was different. It's just another lesson of the profound power of our emotions over our bodies. Hands symbolize creation, empowerment, action. The throat, housing for our voice box, symbolizes our creativity, empowerment, expression. Both are avenues for our heart to speak its truth. We can express love by giving a massage with our hands or by speaking affectionate words. We can convey our awe about a foggy morning through painting it or singing about it. And we can communicate suffering through poetry, spoken or written. We can show our childlike wonder and delight with soft noises made while eating a special treat, or by using our hands to make a special treat. So these glands under here have been chronically sore for most of my life. All the things left unsaid are lodged there. And when did it get worse in my life? It was puberty. I had all these sexual thoughts. I had all this resentment. I had all of this anger. I had suicidal thoughts. What was I told in response? you can't say that. If you talk about suicide, you could get taken away. If you speak these angry thoughts or these resentful thoughts, you can hurt other people, you can tarnish your reputation, you get expelled out of school. And worst of all, the most terrifying thing of all, if you speak your mind about sexuality when you're only 11 years old, they will assume your father is abusing you and they will take you from your home. They will take you away from your parents. I received this message from my parents, from friends of the family, from school teachers. You have to watch what you say. I had mono 4 times in 4 years. And one of the times my glands were so swollen they looked like golf balls sticking out of my throat. I wasn't allowed to express in words. And that's when I really started journaling more and more over those same 4 years. It's hard to imagine who I would even be if I wasn't a writer. But it's ironic that I became a writer because my heart was aching so much that if it wasn't for writing, then I would have no way to express what my heart was feeling. And a profound split has been developed inside of me between the part of me that feels. My heart's connected down my arms, but there's like this great blockage between my heart and my throat. I'm scared sometimes to speak even positive things. Scared to express my gratitude, scared to express that I'm thankful for someone or that I really appreciate what they did. So that vulnerability is uncomfortable for me. Yet I've done a lot less writing in the past 10 years than I did the 10 years before, or I should say in my 20s and now early 30s. I've done a lot less meaningful writing. I've written recipes, emails, the occasional article, yet my heart is burned repeatedly with unexpressed feelings that went neglected. And so my hands have become so inflamed that I can't hold a book. And this is just like the illness that struck me in my mid-20s, where my throat was sore for weeks and none of the usual cures worked. Only speaking from my heart finally cut through the pain and allowed me to speak again and allowed me to heal again. I talk a lot about integration in my work, but the most important form of integration is using the mind and the heart together. When your evaluation of each action and situation includes the messages from your heart, you are wise. When you are disintegrated, you are putting up more and more boundaries between parts of you that are feeling one thing and parts of you that are thinking another thing. And these boundaries literally limit your access to your own knowledge. Wisdom is bringing together all of the knowledge inside of you, and you have infinite knowledge inside of you. Everything you've ever experienced is still in you. If you don't have access to it, if your memory is poor, that's a form of disintegration. That's a form of having too many boundaries up inside you, trying to keep you safe from painful thoughts or painful experiences. But your emotions aren't the problem. It's your resistance to those emotions that actually causes most of the pain. It's kind of like if you had a hook in your skin and that hook was attached to a string and attached to the wall. There would be a certain amount of pain if you just stood there, but it would get even worse if you tried to pull away. In order to remove that hook, you actually have to pay really close attention to it. You need to look at it, feel it, evaluate it. You have to figure out what's the best way to remove this, to heal this. If you just try to run away, you're just going to make things worse. And that's exactly how emotions work. So if you've ever noticed that there are old people who seem really stupid, and also obviously old people who are senile, what's happened there is they've got so many blocks and barriers inside them that they have cut themselves off. And this happens starting from a young age. My programming from childhood has set me on this track. I was taught to shut out my emotions. Few people explicitly said, stop listening to your heart. But situations and experiences taught me that lesson on a daily basis. And that's the struggle that so many of us are facing. We were taught, through example, that emotions were the problem. We were shown that emotions are ignorant, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. Our minds are not practiced at listening to our emotions and interpreting the feelings accurately. So we're much more likely to be rash when we have our feelings because we don't really understand what's going on. We're not practiced at paying attention and making intelligent decisions based on the inclusion of our emotions as part of our thinking process. Wisdom comes from when our minds and hearts act together, like two musicians who have been rehearsing, jamming, and performing together for decades. And like everything, it takes practice. You might be wondering about this monitor. It's an e-ink monitor. It's unfortunately not sponsored. That'd be really badass if it was, but it's a Paperlike Pro by Desung. This is the only e-ink monitor that I know of that exists so far. If you know of another e-ink monitor that's come out, like, please do comment below because I really want to know about that. Particularly e-ink laptop. I've struggled with eye strain in the past, and this thing is a lifesaver, particularly when I love writing so much, and writing's obviously really important to me for all the reasons I've just talked about in terms of connecting with my heart. So yeah, please do like this video and subscribe, and I will see you in the future. Alright, now moving on to the video editing. Let's hope my software does not crash today.